Okay, good afternoon to everyone. This is 3 minutes after 4 p.m. So we suggest to start. We have to inform you that this webinar is recorded for the others to be able also to hear it on replay. So thank you very much for your participation this afternoon to this presentation of the project early, which was a project with ENVITER members, a project which is finished now. And so the objective is to introduce the results and the impact of the results of this project. So we can start. So my name is Philippe Belser. I'm International Activities Manager for V3 Pays de la Loire, so in Angers, in France. And my colleague, Catherine Thibault, I let you introduce yourself.
So Catherine Thibault, Head Manager in the Institute Monteclair in Angers. And we were a promoter of this project.
Yes. Thank you, Catherine. Okay, so we can start with the context of the project early. As we said, it was a project of ENVITER with ENVITER members. It was co-funded by the program Erasmus+, and especially the K Action 2 project within Erasmus+ program. For those who don't know, this is a sub-program of Erasmus+, dedicated for exchange of practices between professionals, and especially in this K Action 2 project dedicated to exchange of practices, we didn't expect specific outcomes, but it was more a demonstration of exchange with mobilities. But you will see afterwards that finally we have produced an outcome for this project. So the period of eligibility of this project, we started the project in October 2020. It was during the COVID crisis period, and initially the project ended in December 2021, but we had the agreement from the European Commission to finish the project in December 2022, so 1 year later, because as you can imagine, it was difficult to work and to be together during mobilities during the COVID crisis. So the project ended finally in December 2022. And during this project, which was, as we said, an exchange of practices, we had three mobilities during the project. The first one was in Angers in October 2021. It was just the first time when it was possible to meet together. The second one was in Vienna in May 2022. And finally, during in parallel of the Blue Sky meeting in Trieste, Blue Sky meeting of ENVITER, we had the final mobility in September 2022. Sorry, can you mute? Okay, thank you very much. So the partners of the project, we were 8 organizations. There were 3 organizations from Italy: the Union for the Blind in Ascoli Piceno, the Istituto dei Sordi from Torino in Italy also, and the Institute of Rittmeyer in Trieste. There was 2 organizations in France, Institut Monteclair, which was the promoter of the project. So it means that we promoted the project and we were in relation with the European Commission for this project. And there was also the CRDV from Clermont-Ferrand, so 2 organizations in France. There was a Contrast, an organization in Austria, the National Rehabilitation for the Blind in Bulgaria, and the Institute Vinkovec in Croatia. I have not mentioned something. We make the presentation now, and we suggest to have a period of questions if you want, and we are not so many for this webinar, so it will be possible just to ask for a question if you want at the end of the presentation. So, Catherine.
Okay, So, first of all, I want to introduce this project in saying that the first idea was the first idea of this project was a consequence of a meeting with Juan Ruiz, who is a specialist of ecolocation. He went in Montclair in 2019, and we have worked with him, and it's why we met him that we decided to work in an exchange project and to rethink our practices with very young blind children. So this meeting with him was the starting point of the project, and it raised the questions about our practices for very young blind children and our way to involve parents as the first concern by support for these children. So why this project? In fact, we observe in our organization that some children, youngsters and young adults have a very few autonomy despite all the rehabilitation proposed to them. Some young people supported by our services and having benefited from all types of re-education are, however, not very autonomous personally. In some situations, at home, at schools, they can sometimes be passive, not confident in their abilities. And our professional speeches focus on autonomy, but it doesn't work for some of them. It's not, I think, a question of capacity, but it's also linked to the environment and the support we propose. So why it doesn't work for these children? Our premise is to ask ourselves about our involvement with the child environment, and in particular with the family, which is close to the child's daily life and best placed to support the child's development and lead him towards autonomy. That's why we decided to exchange with partners and question our practices in the early intervention. Our question was, how can we do better? As I said before, we were inspired by our work with Juan Ruiz in ecolocation. His approach focused on the development of ecolocation to better understand the environment and the role of parents in encouraging this approach every day. Next. So we have three objectives at the beginning of the project, really simple objectives, to share our current practices concerning the early intervention of congenital blind children from 0 to 3 years old and their families, of course, to develop new skills and to enrich ourselves from practices of each partner country of the project, to improve our support, especially toward more autonomy for young blind children. An additional objective emerged along the project to produce a booklet for families and surrounders to give them more information or advices about the blind child development and the role they can play. So in the beginning of the project, our questions were, what are the points of vigilance on which we must work? And what do parents think about this question of autonomy, and how do we include them in this analysis? So that's why, next one, oh, no.
Sorry.
Before. No. Sorry. Okay. So to include parents into our reflection, we decided to collect testimonials of parents, their history with their child, how they have been supported or not, what were their questions, their observations, their fears, their anxieties, how they supported their child development and give him or her confidence in his or her abilities. So we wanted to start with them and gather their stories, experiences, and thought on the subject. We constructed a questionnaire based on 4 areas to guide the interviews. These 4 areas are psychological approach, social skills and soft skills, sensorial compensation and multisensorial development, and accessibility to the world of people with vision. So you have here the question we had in our interview. So I will not read all the questions, but some of them were particularly important. When and how was your child's blindness discovered, for example? What did you feel at this announcement? Have you been in contact with other parents or blind children? Have you done any research on the internet by yourself, etc., etc.? About psychomotor development, have you received any knowledge about the development of a blind child? If so, by whom and how? Another question was, how did you compensate for the lack of vision in daily communication with your child? Another one was, have you let your child discover and manipulate his material environment freely? Do you think you have limited your child's experiences for fear or potential dangers? So you will read this question after, when you will have the PowerPoint. So the idea was to gather experiences, positive and negative, and to highlight any gaps or needs that had not been taken into account, with a view to improving the quality of our support. So it was a choice to base our exchanges on the questions and experiences by parents. And it was very interesting to have their question and their observation to initiate the work with the colleagues after. So the other, yes, before. Yes, we had a part on social code, especially about blindism. Were you able to transmit these social codes on your child? How can you make that? About accessibility, the disponibility of games or books, and so on. So those questionnaires have been submitted to some parents of congenital blind children supported by our early intervention service. Often they were, it was later because they were youngsters, sometimes young adults. So it was after early intervention. But it was very interesting to have this observation of parents. So it was, we wanted to collect the feedback of families on the early intervention support of their child. And after that, we had a synthesis which was made in May 2021 by Visio. Every service had made this questionnaire, and we had a brief together by Visio. And we organized the first meeting in Angers with all our observation during these interviews. From the collect of testimonials in each member's organization of a project, we put in place 4 work groups focused each one on the 4 thematics initially introduced. So the first time in France, in Angers in October, we had exchanged our practices, reflection on the different teams, and we wrote the most important ideas to put forward in relation with the proposal teams. The second meeting in Vienna, colleagues have discovered the added value of echolocation for very young children, because it was in the service contrast with Juan Ruiz and his colleagues. And they have worked by group on the most essential elements for the booklet, because at this moment we decided to make a booklet to give advice to parents and surroundings. And the last time in Trieste, in Italy, each partner introduced the progress of a booklet to the benefit of family caregivers. So as we said before, the involvement of the partners gave a motivation to write a document of advices for families and caregivers. Some work groups worked in Vienna based on the 4 themes of the project, defined the main lines of this guide of advices. And for France, CRDV and Monteclair Institute decided to work together during the last meeting in Trieste to write a common guide with the combination of the 2 teams of our organizations. So you can see here the first page of our booklet. I have an exemplar here, but it's not easy to show. So we have some pages after to give you an idea of what is this booklet. So the title is Follow Me Step by Step, here in French, of course, and it's for parents and surrounders. And it gives some orientations to experiment with family members and with professionals who support the child. You have after, yes, the main parts of this guide. So we have 2 parts. Since my birth, the first year, my body, space and time, the sound, smell, touch, you can help me to develop myself. And the second part is after 1 year old, some different themes, body and space, autonomy, social codes, emotions, help me to understand the world of people with vision, the games, advices at home, and to better understand blindness, and a special part about echolocation. So we had the first page of the booklet is a text. We give the voice to the baby, and the baby explain his needs and perspective. So we have translated it here. You can read it. I suppose you can see. So I give you time to read what is the text of introduction. I suppose it's okay. So all the booklet is written like this. So it's always the baby who says what he needs in the page after. So you have a text in French, sorry, we haven't translated all the text, but the presentation is always the same. We have a title, some explanation, and after some advices, simple advices for parents and surrounders. Yes, for example, on this page, left, you have some advices in the part in blue. We say here, when you speak or you sing, let me touch your mouth, which will more under you. Let me no, it's okay. When you speak or sing, let me touch your mouth with your fingers, your neck, your throat that will vibrate. So some specific advices, very precise, to give to parents. Next page. In this page, the page to the right is named "You Can Help Me to Develop Me." The last advice, for example, is "Show me how I can stretch out my arms when I need to be held, how to say goodbye, bravo, thanks, or giving a kiss." So it's very specific advices for parents. You have a part about the cane. It's important to give them a cane when they are very young. Next page, it's after my first birthday, a specific part about body, space, autonomy, etc. For example, here, one of the advice is I can start dressing and undressing by myself. Often parents are doing for the child, they don't think it's possible for him to do by himself. So it's important to guide parents in this sense. So next page, it's about social skills. For example, we have an advice is try talking me behind the wall and I hear your voice differently. It's on the right page, how to help the child to understand what is the world of the people who are seeing. It's important to explain the differences to a child. Next page. We have a page about games and some advices when how to play with the child, how to explain it. And at right, it's some advices at home, how to do to be secure for the children and to give him some possibility to do by himself. It's always the same. And the next page is about echolocation with some references to have information about this notion. So this booklet has been realized during the project. And after that, we have sent him to many families. And it's a support to discuss with families in our early intervention. Next. So after this project, what are the impacts of the project on the team? Of course, we had many discussions with other professionals who enrich the practice of the team. So they note that they do the things differently after this project. It changed the way to work for professionals, especially for O&M instructor. She works very differently now, and she insists on the possibility for a child to do by himself. And it changed also the attention paid to parental involvement. And it reinforced the role of family supporting rather than only specialists in rehabilitation. I think it's the most important effect on the position of a professional for us, in fact. For example, the O&M instructor work more on the child's auditory environment as a support for understanding the world around the child, and pay more attention to encourage children to explore, to do things on their own. After this project, we had a new work session with Juan Ruiz in Monteclair. His message to parents is always to let children discover and explore by themselves to be less present in activities, less overprotective, and the message is the same for professionals. And another impact for us is that the booklet has been sent to our partners who can meet with children or families, and we have many reactions of our partners. They felt it was very interesting for them to have this booklet. And the last impact, which is important for us, is that we have developed some links with the French training organization for O&M instructors. It's named Fédération des Aveugles de France. And they now develop the approach about echolocation in their program of training. It was not the case before in France, and I think it's very important because all the instructors in O&M will have this possibility to know what is echolocation and how to work with very young children, blind children, with these techniques. So the most important impacts are here. Yes. Of course, you can read the booklets in different languages, and they are on the website of ENVITER. I don't know if it's possible to have a link. Of course, each country has done its own booklet, and they are all different. I think because of the relation they have with parents and the type of intervention they have, it's not the same in France, in Croatia, and in Bulgaria and Italy.
Do you see the ENVITER page?
No.
Yes.
Okay.
Just a moment. I come back. I stopped the sharing of. Just a moment.
Is it okay?
And now, do you see?
No.
Yes, now we can see.
Yes, it's okay. Okay, thank you.
So you can have a look on each booklet on each country.
Yes. So you can see that the booklet has been translated. It's not really translated because the content of the booklet is made according to the context of each country also. So that's important. So you have a common frame, a common theme, topic, you know, but it has been really created and developed according to each national context. So you have it in Bulgarian, in Croatian, in French, in German, and Italian, which was the national language of the partnership, and it has been also translated in English.
Yeah.
So so that's the outcomes, the results of this project. Maybe that's okay, Catherine?
Yeah.
Yes. Maybe I can stop to share the page. Do you have any questions or comments? This is the period for the questions and comments if you have. Okay.
Sorry, I have just one comment. Hi, it's Angela from Croatia. Hi, everyone.
Yes. Hi, Angela.
I hope you're okay.
Yes.
I just need to say in our booklet, it still has the previous address in our dislocated unit in Split. So can we rename it can we change the address and send you the new one?
Yes,
because,
of course.
Yeah, it's the old one. It's not in the use anymore.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, we had an opening last week, so yeah, we're really excited about that. So I will change it and then send you the new one.
Okay, thank you, Angela. No problem.
No problem.
Any more comments, or do you have any questions? So we suggest, of course, to go on the ENVITER website and to see the content of the booklet. Of course, this is also interesting, maybe to translate one of the booklet in other language, if you want, because this is only the language of the partnership, but this is rather good because we have some languages already. But this is possible, of course, to take it and to translate it in other language. So no questions. So if you have no questions, we can or comments, we can stop the presentation now.